Hello, everybody, and welcome to POAP Community Call number 46. Today is November the 23rd, 2022, and we are so glad that you are here with us tonight to talk about all things POAP. So, of course, I am your host, Mr. Mojo, and I am here with a bunch of my friends. I'm going to go from top to bottom. So, first we have Fiore, POAP's Community Manager. Always good to have you.
Hey, GM guys. Thank you for having me today.
Our pleasure. And then we also have GitPOAP onboarding lead and ETHStaker member, Nixorokish. Good to hear you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for Superphiz for ignoring me tonight.
We also have JENetics over from POAPathon. Good to see you up.
Hello, and GM.
We also have POAP Growth Manager, iDecentralized. Good to have you as always.
What's up, fam?
And we have Superphiz, also over from ETHStaker. Good to see you up here.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, and I wanted to share condolences from Nix. She says she can't make it tonight, so but I'm glad to be here.
And then we have our special guest, co-founder of the Hyype platform, Supriyo. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me here tonight.
Our pleasure. But all right, everyone. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. First, we're going to start off with, of course, this is how you can help yourself out a little bit later on in the call when we do distribute our POAP. Here in the official POAP Discord, you're going to go to the Join Guild chat, and you're going to want to click on the link and join our guild over on the guild.xyz platform. That's going to help you out tremendously tonight whenever we do distribute our POAP. But we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off with Superphiz. So you're doing something pretty cool over in the Rocket Pool community, and I would like to hear you talk about it. So what's so special right now over on Rocket Pool?
Oh man, what's special at Rocket Pool? I did not know I would get to go first. Rocket Pool is the only open source, trustless, decentralized, and permissionless fractional staking pool for Ether. And all of those words come together to mean that aside from solo staking, Rocket Pool is the absolute best way to stake on Ethereum. And so I know a lot of people use other service providers. Maybe you use an exchange like Coinbase, or maybe you use another liquid staking token like Lido. But all of those are in many ways dangerous for the success of the Ethereum network. But Rocket Pool is essentially the opposite of that. By using Rocket Pool, you strengthen and harden the Ethereum network. And that's what's happening over there. That's not your question at all, is it?
Hey, I think that's great background information, but what is the initiative that you're doing right now over at Rocket Pool?
So I've been in the Rocket Pool community for 4 or 5 years now, and some of you know I'm good friends with Patricio, and Patricio is an early investor. Actually, he is in many ways the early investor in Rocket Pool, and so he has a lot of Rocket Pool tokens. And one of the things he does every couple of months is basically just give me a few tokens to share out to appreciate and incentivize the community. So for the past few weeks, maybe a few days, I don't know, I've been doing a couple things, and one of my favorite things is I developed actually I think I had the idea here last week. Yeah, because I was like, I haven't created a POAP in a while. It's time for me to do that. So I went to Rocket Pool and I was like, hey guys, what POAP should I create for Rocket Pool? And they're like, well, we had our 1-year anniversary. And I'm like, holy cow, there's no 1-year anniversary POAP. So I went to POAPathon. I created a bounty for some artists to develop the art for that. And then I used POAP checkout similar to what we do here as a Sybil resistance mechanism. And so I allow people to pay $5 in ETH for that POAP. And after 48 hours, I like to say all of Fizz's games have prizes. After 48 hours, I then refunded everyone's cost, everyone who purchased that POAP, 123 people. I gave them about $15 in our ETH tokens, which is the staked Rocket Pool token. And then I also gave them 3 RPL tokens, which is about $45, and that is the Rocket Pool insurance token. And so essentially, any of those people who are in the Rocket Pool community and who participated, by getting that POAP for $5, they walked away with $60 and a POAP. And because I never want a game to end, I'm hosting a raffle in about 20 days for all of those addresses, and I think I'm giving away another 500 or 600 RPL tokens on that raffle. So it's really just a great way to reward people who are really engaged in the Rocket Pool community, because it is, if you all are here and you don't know this, Rocket Pool and POAP are very tightly integrated, and so we're kind of sister communities.
I'll say that I did not know you had given out those freebies. I actually purchased the
Sounds like
The
fun. How
POAP
can I get involved in the Rocket Pool community?
so apparently purchased POAPs from Superphiz, but I purchased that one I think like a day and a half ago, and I actually wasn't even aware of those rewards. So that's really cool. And I look forward to
How
joining
can
the
we get
raffle.
involved with the Rocket Pool community?
I think Superphiz's game right now is he's pretending like he didn't hear my question.
No, actually, I'm confused. And this is, in all sincerity, I'm not sure you all can hear Anthony. He was speaking, but you all were speaking at the same time. I don't know if we're being funny, but
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
I was
maybe
wondering.
everyone
hear it.
doesn't seem to be able to hear everyone.
I was able
Oh,
to
Discord
hear him.
RIP.
Jen, can you hear Anthony?
No.
All right.
Maybe it's
sir.
a girl's voice thing. I
Yeah.
don't know. Weird.
Battle of the Sexes here right now.
Happy Thanksgiving.
At any rate, so what we'll do is, Anthony, why don't you drop and come back, because it's usually the person who can't be heard who fixes that. And this is just Discord as Discord is. Can you guys hear Anthony now?
Yo.
I'm still able to hear him. Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nix, can you hear him? All right, go on, Anthony. Sorry.
Hey. Happy Thanksgiving.
So you were talking about you had purchased that.
Yeah. So
POAP.
I guess I should repeat myself since everyone can hear me now. So I actually had purchased that maybe a day and a half ago, without knowing about this extra incentive. I had just when we did the ultrasound call, there was obviously the Rocket Pool celebration after. I didn't attend, and I kind of lagged on purchasing the POAP. I was a couple days late. I didn't know you gave back rewards, so that's awesome. I'm happy that I do have the POAP. Thank you for setting that out, and I love using checkout. It's just so simple. And I look forward to the raffle. So just thanks for doing all that. I wasn't even sure that was you who had set it up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really a privileged position to be able to reward and recognize people who contribute to the community. And so, like, maybe you're in a community and you have a lot of desire to support the community, but it really makes it so much easier when I can back that up with incentives. So yeah, I do love being there.
Heck yeah. Kudos to Superphiz.
Well, really, it's I get to be the poster child for it, but Patricio has a very deep interest in the success of Ethereum, and that interest is evidenced by his behavior. Like, I know a lot of what you'd call OG Ethereans, and many of them like just kind of hold their stash and wait for something to happen. But Patricio is very invested in really helping the Ethereum ecosystem evolve in a healthy way, and supporting Rocket Pool is just a wonderful manifestation of that.
I completely agree. And they're the ones who are pushing a more decentralized beacon chain, or helping to keep that culture alive while still allowing liquid staking to exist. So super excited.
And it also shows the utility of what these POAPs can do, right? Because here you are, you wanted to do something within a community that you're a part of and that you care about. You decided to pull a tool out the tool belt, that being a POAP, and you're using it to be able to give back to the people that bring you joy, right?
Yeah, and I actually did a video about that a few months ago. Like, I would love to find the link to that, but I really just went through the steps of rewarding the community. Like, all you have to do, you give out a POAP, or you find a POAP that you already love, like the maybe like the Beacon Chain Depositors POAP, and you go to POAP.gallery and you just export that CSV, and then you go to disperse.app and you drop those in there. And with like 6 clicks, you can effectively reward everyone in the community. Like, there's no programming needed. It's not difficult at all. Once you've done it, you kind of like learn how much fun it can be. So if you even have like $100, you could go to disperse.app and spend $5 giving that away, and it just gives everybody a little fraction of it. So it is really awesome.
Yep, and it's definitely great to see people who want to give back, who want to use, as I was saying, these tools that are available to them that actually do so. Because as you were saying, Superphiz, there are a good amount of people who they just kind of sit and wait for something to happen. But it's the people who actually make things happen that not only have more fun, but you what am I trying to say here? You kind of push things along, right? You make the community better by actually doing things instead of just waiting for things to happen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm finding a GIF for this. There we go. I just posted it in community calls. But yes, I was able to meet you with a GIF, my friend.
Excellent. But all right, we do have a lot to talk about in today's call, so I think we're going to move on. But thank you, Superphiz, for talking about what you're doing over in the Rocket Pool community and how you were giving back to them. But all right, so we are going to move on to our next topic. So over in the announcements channel here in the official POAP Discord, Patricio, he made a post talking about how POAP Art, they had opened up a sandbox canvas. It's open until the end of this year, and it's because there were some new features that were launched over on POAP Art. So I'm going to go ahead and post a few links here. So first, of course, this is just a quick link over to the announcements of what Patricio had said. And then I'm also going to go ahead and post that art canvas. Now, from my understanding, in order to actually place pixels on that art canvas, you need to go to POAP Checkout and get a certain POAP. I'm going to also link that in here for everyone. I believe it was 0.001 ETH to be able to purchase this, but it gives you access to this canvas and the new features that are available. And I kind of want to open this up to the POAP members here on the panel to maybe talk about this. Maybe Theo, this would be a good question for you. What kind of features were added to POAP Art that made Patricio want to open up a canvas for the rest of the year?
We have a new color palette, which is for how do you say pastel in English?
Yes.
It's the same word than in Spanish. Okay, yeah, in Spanish is pastel as well. So we have a pastel new palette color, and we want to open the canvas for until the end of the year, so we can celebrate with the community that we are closing the 2022, and we want to give everyone the opportunity to paint something. Because sometimes when you have a canvas open for only a few hours, some people are left behind because maybe they live on other time zone. So the idea is that people from all over the world can draw something in the canvas, and using this new color palette that is the same that we have in our branding with with the pink, the purple, and all the colors that we have in the POAP logo and all the POAP ecosystem.
Yeah, I'm taking a look over the canvas right now. There's definitely a good amount of participation on this. And that POAP logo in the very center, it's like so blended together. It's crazy. And you can definitely see how there's more colors available and everything just kind of like is able to blend into itself now. I think it looks really cool. So I definitely want people to be able to go there and check it out. You know, there have been a few different canvases that have happened throughout this year, of course. There was one for the merge, which turned out great. Recently, there was one for ETHStaker's birthday, which turned out really good as well. And this one, you know, it's already filling in pretty good, and it's going all the way until the end of the year. So if you do participate in this canvas and you want to give some feedback, you can do so over on the POAP.art Discord. I'm going to go ahead and link an invite over there so that you can go ahead and join it, mess around with the canvas, and then give feedback for that. But I don't think there's really too much to say about this. Is there any kind of final words that we can speak on this?
I'd say that I would love for us to, as a kind of core Discord POAP community, to probably go hang out there in the next couple weeks, and maybe we can all try to paint something. Maybe we can paint like a cool headset for Nix to wear so she can finally hang out with us, or you know, maybe a Superphiz. I don't know, but something fun. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to like the coordination that you see on some of these canvases, where a group of people can come together and they can sort of make their mark across the canvas, sort of get their spot, check in on it, make sure that everything is going well, and defend it. Because as Fiore was saying, in the past, these canvases, they would only be open for a few hours at a time. And, you know, there would be a whole bunch of people at once on there trying to claim their spot. Maybe it was open up at a time that was inconvenient for you. But now, since it's open up until the end of this year, you have plenty of time to make your mark.
Totally agreed. I think longer time windows are a great thing.
It's crazy how big this canvas is. It's so hard to zoom back out once you've zoomed in to draw something.
I'm loving people posting what they've already put on the canvas so far, whether it be their name or some sort of symbol. I think it's great. You know, there's also like people who use like bots and stuff to be able to like upkeep their image and like have it be pixel perfect and stuff. I always think it's really interesting the lengths people will go to make sure that they actually have their like claimed territory on one of these types of canvases.
Somebody put an FTX logo on there.
Right? I know, yeah, I'm just kind of looking around. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like these pastel colors because, as I was saying initially, like it really helps sort of like blend the image together a little bit more. It's not like a very harsh like contrast between colors. You're able to transition and like add shading and stuff very easily because you just have more options on the palette now. So it's awesome. Very great for artists. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how this canvas is going to end up when it closes. And as Anthony said, maybe it'd be really cool if there were some of these like sessions that we could have where we just sort of all come together as a group, sit down, maybe like for an hour or two. You just be like, okay, we're all going to hang out. We're going to mess with the canvas today, and then you just kind of let it wait. You know, and then like the next week, maybe you come back for another hour or two and you go, all right, now it's time to see what else we can do on this canvas, or let's see what we need to fix and stuff like that. It's a great way to get your community out and do something. But okay. Like I said earlier, I don't think there's too much to talk about here, but definitely go ahead and check that out, everyone. Something to get involved with. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Anthony and Fiore because you have a bit of POAP related news to share. So there is a new bot that tells the petition status, and I'm going to go ahead and post the link to the announcement on Discourse, but you can go ahead and sort of share with us what it does. And I think I'm going to throw this one to Anthony because you made the post.
I'll actually let Theo lead here if she wants. I did make the post, but we all kind of collaborated on this, and the curation body and kind of DropOps team had a big part in bringing this. And this is just to improve, I want to say, not only issuer experience, the issuer you have as the experience you have as an issuer, but it's also going to impact kind of customer support at large. Theo, did you want to chime in at all?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we added this new function to our chatbot. The idea is that if you're a POAP issuer and you are waiting for a confirmation, that you go to the chat and you put your event ID or your drop ID that you will find in the confirmation email that you receive when you submit a POAP petition. And you copy and paste that on the chatbot, and the bot will automatically tell you what's the status of the submission. That could be approved, that could be pending, or that can be rejected. If it's pending, it's probably because curation is reviewing the petition. So you will probably have to wait a couple of more hours, or maybe it's because they need more information. So if they need more information, or you think that you probably added like not much information to the petition, and you would like to add more context, you can ask to talk to a human, and you will be directly connected with someone from the customer support team who will help you expedite your petition and who will give this context to curation. So yeah, the idea is to improve the issuer experience. We want to give POAPs faster, and we want to help everyone to have their POAPs ready for their events. So this improvement will help both issuers and also our customer support team, who is there 24/7 helping people to have success with their petitions.
Yeah, and I say that this is part of a broader plan that really is to improve issuer experience, and that's going to come on the curation and the customer support side. That's going to come within the product and how you can actually drop POAPs and what the different distribution methods are. And something we look forward to in the next couple weeks is previously, if you needed to provide substantially more detailed information on your drop, or if you needed to appeal a drop because you didn't have it didn't get approved the first time, or you didn't have enough information, you would create a discourse topic or a discourse post. And eventually in the near future here, kind of a few weeks away, discourse will be explicitly just used for kind of governance and talking about the future of POAP as a protocol, and various things, like a governance style forum. And any kind of appeals and information in relation to your drop as an issuer will kind of all be centralized within not necessarily just a chatbot, but within a single sort of portal of sorts. So it's just really exciting to see POAP has come such a long way in such a short amount of time. And I think we're going to see the acceleration be much quicker in terms of the improvements you see over the next weeks, months, and definitely years.
Yep, definitely given that a bit of a level up, I would say. As you were saying, you no longer need to go over on the discourse in order to actually hey, what's the status of my petition right now? You can just say, hey, I want to check the status of my drop, and it tells you where it's at. And then if you need extra help, it'll also point you to the resource that you need in order to talk to a human. I think it's great. Definitely looking forward to more integrations like this being added into the POAP user experience in the future. But all right, I think we're going to move on to our community spotlight now. So Supriyo, it is your time, sir. The light is shining bright on you. So, as I had introduced you, you are the co-founder of the Hyype platform. And I'm going to go ahead and link the homepage of Hyype here in the community calls chat. But it's great to have you on. Great to have you on. I'm excited to learn more about you and more about Hyype.
Absolutely.
So
And thanks for having me.
no problem. It is our pleasure for sure. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start off and just sort of ask a general, like, who are you? Like, who is Supriyo? Like, what is your background?
Absolutely. My name is Supriyo. So the same username, same first name. I have been in tech for the last 13 years and in crypto, I think since 2016. Yes, around 2016. And took up a more active role starting last year. And have been in the Ethereum ecosystem around the same time and collecting my first NFTs and POAPs, I think goes a couple of years back, and first NFT was actually a CryptoKitty.
Wow.
Yeah.
CryptoKitties, let's go.
Yeah.
It really brought so many people in. And I actually don't own a CryptoKitty, but I think the people that do, especially if they bought it in the kind of the first mega 2017 hype cycle, I think that's a really cool piece of history. I don't know if
Yeah.
you should frame it or something, but it's really cool.
Well, yeah, I mean those CryptoKitties were something, I would say. And I think back then there were quite a few experiments running alongside, like Cheese Wizards. I don't know if you know about them. They were around.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before you really got into Web3, what exactly were you doing?
Yeah. Before Web3 crypto, I used to lead product and design at Alexa for the smart home division at Amazon. And have been a software engineer by background and found my passion in product, user experience, and just have been in different roles since the last 10 years.
Wow, so working on Amazon Alexa, that's crazy. So whenever I go, hey Alexa, like like your contribution to that, like whenever I actually use that product, how am I supposed to know, like, oh, that's what Supriyo made? Like,
I think everything you have been using it for at your home for automation, like light bulbs, plugs, all of those kind of things. But mostly home automation and smart home experiences is what like me and my team used to work on.
oh wow, so whenever I tell it to turn off the lights, I know that was your doing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually kind of crazy to think about. Like, I'm talking to somebody who's like, allowing me to hands-free like do automation within my home with this device. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not perfect, but it has come a long way. I still get annoyed with it quite sometimes.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. But like, so what got you exactly into doing development in Web3? What made you take the jump from working at a giant
Yeah.
company like Amazon and deciding, nope, I don't want to do that anymore. That's the Web2 way. This Web3 thing is where to go.
Well, I think some of the things which really excited me about the prospects of crypto were mostly the idea of a bottoms up org, right? Where everything in the traditional world, like growing up, like I come from India, and India is one of those countries where, financial systems are pretty locked down, and you have like a parallel system, which is like cash only. And knowing how fast digitization was happening in a lot of these demographics, including like my own country, right? It was really interesting to see what if there were not few central key players, and what if every aspect people were interacting with, whether it's money, whether it's goods, can they really have access to the same value the ecosystem gives without it all going up? right? So that's generally what was my driving factor. I think I was kind of on the fence initially when the first run of like useless ICOs happened back then, and well, I think with NFTs I really saw an interesting niche where like with increasing digitization, more and more assets were being put on the blockchain, and utilizing that asset, you could think of a gazillion different use cases. Now you could just hand over to community, right? Like whether it's asset owning rights, whether it's trading it, freedom of trading, whether it's things like IP, which you can modularize and deploy capital against. All of those things became really interesting and accessible suddenly, utilizing the core sort of aspect of NFTs. And that's mostly what excited me. And yeah, pushed me to take the jump and hop on in.
Yeah, it's interesting that so from what I just heard you say, you're basically saying like it was the NFTs and their like functionality is what really made you decide to make the
Right.
jump. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really kind of interesting because normally, like speaking to like a normie, I guess is the term I'm going to use here. Somebody who's like not into the whole like NFT space, somebody they look at an NFT and they're just like, why would I want to like pay 100 ETH for a JPEG or whatever, right?
I well, yeah, I would agree. I think JPEGs are probably a very early rudimentary example of what an NFT could be, but there are so many more things to it. I would almost consider, like um, CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape and things like that. Right? CryptoPunk probably is more similar to a Veblen good, right? Than something which is utilitarian. In my head, an ideal case of an NFT is not something which is scarce and impossible to attain for most people. In my head, an ideal case of an NFT is extremely prolific, millions of them around, really easy to start with, and everybody starts at the same spot. And then whatever happens with that NFT happens, right? And it just has its own unique trail or fingerprint, if you will, as it ages through transactions and provenance history.
Yeah, I feel like your understanding of what an NFT is definitely a lot deeper than like as Burz is saying in the chat. Like it's kind of hard to get the normies past this idea that an NFT is like more than just like a JPG. So you having the understanding that like there is so much more to these things, like like you already started your journey on like a step ahead, like you already had one step on a whole bunch of people already. So like it makes sense why you're kind of doing what you're doing right now. But before we get into that, I just kind of want to ask you, like, so far, how has your journey been in this Web3 space?
Uh, Made ton of money, lost a ton of money, so equalizes out, I guess. But I think it has been so far. It has been really two things which stood out to me was you just can't keep up with all the new things people are building and creating. And sure, like some ideas are more novel over others. Some of them would just continue to be just a niche, right? Will never scale up, while some of them might really change how we think and look about certain aspects of digital products. And yeah, also meeting a ton of people, so everybody is super accessible, and you don't need to have anybody docs to really know them or work with them. So really embracing this whole remote first culture where it doesn't matter where you come from, everybody starts at the same point. I think that has been something which was the highlight for me.
Yeah, I want to actually echo that as well. I have found it very, very impressive that so many, seemingly super important people whether they're builders or, you know, CEOs or people who are leading product at some big protocols, big communities, big teams, are still very accessible and very friendly. And I feel like it's not that way, or it doesn't seem to be that way in many other industries. And maybe crypto might not keep that culture forever, but I've just found it really amazing, the people that I've gotten to meet and kind of, you know, rub shoulders with and talk to, that I just feel so blessed to kind of even have access to them. And I'm wondering, or I feel that that might just be part of kind of crypto culture, because we started so small, and, you know, we all knew each other, and we're scaling out, and hopefully we can kind of keep that, because I think it's really valuable for newcomers to feel that they're a part of this community and they can learn from, you know, valuable mentors, etc.
Absolutely.
So before we get into talking about the Hyype platform, I kind of want to open this up to, from anyone else on the panel, is there any questions that you want to ask Supriyo just about him in general before we get into Hyype?
It's part of Hyype, but I guess I would and maybe it's part of your plan, but I guess what was the original inspiration, because it's super interesting, but maybe that's just part of talking about Hyype.
Yeah, I think that there is ton to talk about there. So probably Mojo, we can talk about it.
Sure, right. So I think before we get into that, I kind of want to know, so like, what is Hyype exactly?
Yeah, well, I think TLDR version of what it really is. Think of it as a hub of everything about an NFT, which is not transaction data or the metadata. So when you, a little bit of background. So I mentioned, you know, like my sort of journey with NFTs started with CryptoKitties, and as sort of interest ticked up around Hyype, around NFTs, what really stood out to me was majority of the NFT ecosystem had always been fixated on the idea of buying and selling. Sure, secondary markets are important, and most of the people were, you know, going and buying things on OpenSea, and then now looks rare, and a bunch of new platforms are out there. But what really drives the intent of buying something? Do you buy it just because you can sell it later for more money, or do you buy it because you want to support an artist, or do you buy it because you want to feel included in a certain set of ideology with some other people? There are many underlying aspects to it, so we wanted to have Hyype as a way to capture a lot of these missing details, which would otherwise just are undiscoverable. When I go and buy a certain CryptoPunk, I want to know what was important about it. Why should I care about this hoodie punk over others, right? That's one of the aspects of it. Another aspect is that when a certain collector bought it, what were they thinking? Tell us a little bit more about background, right? When I'm looking at a one-on-one crypto art, say for example a photograph, right? You are looking at a photograph being sold on Foundation or Super Rare. You are looking at the end product, but you don't know in what circumstances the photograph was taken, who took it, what was their motivation behind it, right? So a lot of that information just is missing today. Maybe it's on Twitter threads, but they are really, really hard to find unless you have high intent. So we wanted to have a place where all the NFT owners and NFT creators could, you know, come in and share those thoughts freely. And it's really just a blank canvas where people can come in and add that information, whether it's collector statements, artist statements, background stories, memes, if you will, right? And also on top of that, I think there is a big aspect of Hyype, which is automation. So we have been looking at basically capturing curation signals and reverse adding them to NFTs. So for instance, if your NFT is being displayed in a on cyber gallery, or if it's included in a Deckard gallery, we would love to know about it, because somebody who owns that NFT spent time going and curating that putting that gallery together so that somebody else could come in and see it. So those are the signals we almost immediately pick up whenever that's displayed on such galleries today. And you can tap into Hyype APIs if you are a marketplace or a protocol and you would want to use that information to support NFT discovery. You can absolutely do it today free of cost.
That's so cool. And I think what makes a lot of NFTs valuable, or why you might look at one zombie punk over another random zombie punk or any NFT or PvP, is kind of the history and lore behind that particular NFT. And so much of it right now is almost like how history has been in the ancient days, right? Where, it's all word of mouth. For us, it kind of lives on Twitter. It's not really documented anywhere. And unless you were kind of around and you were kind of part of the inside jokes, you kind of don't know these things. And I see Hyype being a place where all that could be centralized and pinned to a various, say NFT, and then all the lore can be in one place. And then the rest of the market is able to understand. And I think it's kind of a missing thing in the market right now. So I'm glad you're building it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, right, I think when we look at certain NFT art today, like you also absolutely think about provenance around it. So think of a CryptoPunk which was owned by, people or Xcopy or like DC investor before, right? That carries a higher premium because of who they are as collectors or artists. And the same way, if they left a personalized note with your NFT, that note is going to stick with the NFT forever and it will travel alongside the NFT to the new owner. And that is something which is interesting aspect of content which you can inherit through Hyype, not only just the base NFT and its media and traits.
That's actually brings me to a question that we had in Fiore and I were talking about, and I think a few of others in here, is that if someone doesn't hold the NFT anymore, I don't think they're allowed to attach lore. And what you just said is actually a great use case. So I got my ape from Mariano Conti, one of the original team members of MakerDAO.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I would actually love, next time we hang out, he can write me like a funny little note, and then I would love for him to be able to pin it from his ENS onto the ape. But I don't yet see the ability for me to delegate authority or anything like that. Is that part of the vision, or how are you thinking about that?
Mariano gave you an ape?
I technically bought it at the market rate at the time. But yeah, I did swindle him.
Mariano, I'm gonna need to see you in my DMs tonight, my friend.
Yeah. But no, it was at the bottom. I was supposed to sweep the floor and get 10 or 20, and I only ended up with Mariano's ape. So, God bless.
Yeah, well, I mean, to tackle that question, I think that's correct. Like, it's something which has been by design from the beginning. So one of the things which is out of the box token gated on Hyype is only the asset owner and the asset creator are able to leave notes or attach lore to a certain asset. The reason why we did it was because we didn't want a situation where somebody else comes in and vandalizes your ape, right, with spam. So that's something which has come up a couple of times in our community too, where people wanted that ability to explicitly delegate who can create lore for them and content for them. And that's something which we are working on right now. So it should be available at some point early next year.
Cool. Well, let me know when it's live, and I'll definitely do that. And it sounds like a fun piece of lore to add to my ape. And then whoever I sell it to, I'll add a note to them as well that thanks for buying the bags.
Awesome.
All right, that was a lot of information you gave there, and I think you kind of hit on some of the questions that I wanted to ask you. So I was going to ask you, so like, what is the main goal of Hyype? But you pretty much already told us that, hey, it's meant to be able to like add in lore, add in like extra notes to the NFTs that you have, because you're right, for a lot of these, there's only like what the metadata there and like what the picture is and stuff like that. And then like all the story around it is just pretty much like word of mouth. There really is no area where you go to write down like the story or the history of this NFT, or in the case here, the happenings of this POAP.
Right.
But kind of one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, so like, what inspired you to actually begin building this Hyype platform? Like, what about
Oh, yeah.
adding the lore to NFTs inspired you to actually like, I'm gonna make this
I
now?
Right. I think it was just something which I personally needed as a collector. So, like when I started buying from people, I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, so I always fixated on going and following crypto art, which over-indexed on that theme. And whenever I was buying something from someone, I wanted to say my little piece on like why I felt that I needed to spend money on this, and it was just more than just supporting the artist. And yeah, I didn't have any way to do that. And when I was looking at all the gazillion platforms which exist today, like Supriyo or Foundation or OpenSea, everywhere, you look at the page and you see what you are buying, and it just takes a tiny bit of space, and everything is about, oh, look at the floor price and look at the trading charts and all of the cool financial things, which sort of pushes you to think that, is this a financial vehicle or are you doing this for collecting something? And that's something which sort of made me feel that there should be a platform which is not a financial instrument or pushes for it, but mostly something where collectors could just go and create content or think about why they bought a certain NFT and just share, and eventually hoping that that sentiment becomes prevalent long term and other marketplaces could adopt to it and just start displaying it. And that is something which has been really fun for us as well, is that we have been chatting with a couple of marketplaces which are already sort of moving in that direction, that what happens next now, what should we do, how else can we provide better NFT discovery, and bringing all of this content from all the gazillion different fragmented places like galleries and Twitter and whatnot. You could just tap into that pipe of data on Hyype and just display it side by side with the NFT.
Jen, I kind of want to hear something from you on this, because you have you have told us that like you have used Hyype in the past to attach lore to NFTs. So like, which NFTs did you end up attaching lore to, and like, how was your user experience with Hyype, Jen?
So I used Hyype quite a while ago, and I have a DAO punk that was created through, yeah, through the Bankless DAO community, and so I have one of those, and I attached both kind of some poetry, I guess you'd call it, as well as a NFT modded NFT. So I punked my DAO punk, and I used Hyype to attach those two things together forever, so that if I ever sold the DAO punk, which I have no intention of doing, but if I did, the next person would get both of those things. And I found it extremely easy to use back then, and so I can only imagine, at this point, being probably 8 or 9 months later, how much easier it will be to use.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that your user experience was pretty good. I was using it today to help set up something that we'll talk about before we leave the call here. But I mean, I had a pretty great user experience with it. It was all pretty straightforward, and I was able to sign in with my wallet, and then it just right away said, hey, go ahead and fill out your profile. Did that, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to make some posts. I attached lore. I attached memes to some POAPs that I own, and now it's on there, and And anybody that clicks on that POAP, they're going to be able to see the lore that I attached to it. And that's kind of what I want to go into now, actually. When it comes to POAPs...
Superphiz, I have a question.
Oh,
did you front
go
run
ahead.
the meme competition, or did you attach memes on different ones?
I think what we're talking about. What meme competition?
It's redacted. Just
All right.
Mojo, yes or no question. Did you front run?
I was posting examples.
Okay. Well, anyway, I wanted to before we moved on real quick, I wanted to say the reason why I do feel like this is a really great fit for POAP particularly is because you know, a thing that I really like is We Look Moments, or POAP moments, where it allows you to attach photos to POAPs, and maybe the moments you had associated with that memory that, you know, you couldn't condense your 20 photos from that night into a single POAP image, but you know, you have the POAP, which has one image, and then you have a bunch of photos attached. I really like Hyype, where it kind of has that similar aspect. You can upload images, but I also like that you have the ability to upload copy, because then maybe, you know, you can write a story about that night, or attach some poems later, or various different, you know, folklore associated with that POAP. And you know, maybe community call POAPs. I don't know if we have that many lore or fun things associated with it, but POAPs as a kind of a protocol. You know, even the RPL one we were talking about earlier, the 1 year anniversary of RPL. You know, if someone went in there and attached the, you know, the top funniest, you know, images, snapshots from Discord, or the top price analysis or anything, from whether it's copy or a photo, that's just so cool to me. And again, it's aggregating that information that has previously been fragmented and then putting it in one place. And that's just super cool. And it makes sense for POAP.
Yeah, and one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, Supriyo, is where do you see POAPs fitting into the Hyype platform? And like, what is the use case for POAPs on Hyype?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, like POAPs were one of the first additional chains beyond mainnet Ethereum we integrated early on. It was because it's such a good fit for all the reasons you just heard. Mostly where I see POAPs as you know, anchor points of certain activities throughout whenever you collect POAPs, right? Whether meeting people at an event, or you know, going and doing certain activities, or supporting certain protocols early, or product launches and things like that. There are a dozen different use cases, and at that moment in time, you must be feeling something, right? So while I see POAPs as, you know, monikers of those experiences where you are utilizing it to show, oh, I was there, can you go beyond it? And that's something where Hyype comes in, where it really lets you put additional color and create, you know, like a really rich backstory on a very unique footprint as your address goes around collecting things. And yeah, and because of how we have been intentionally building Hyype as a general purpose infrastructure, I could see a world where, you know, like a lot of POAP products, or you know, protocols or things which are being built on top of it could really utilize all that infra and you know, create these experiences. So almost think I could see an Instagram being built on top of POAP and Hyype, where, you know, like you can collect a certain POAP and natively, you know, attach certain things to it, or share a status update on top of it. And one of the good parts about it is that when you create that piece of information, it's stacked to three things. It's stacked to the POAP, it's stacked to the person who created it, so the author, the address, and then the third thing is tagged to the event. So there are three different level of aggregation filters you can tap into when you want to look back and see that information. And when you create the content, it's spins simultaneously on IPFS as well as Arweave. So you have those as auxiliary data nodes, so that even if, you know, like tomorrow Hyype is not accessible for some reason, then whoever is still building on Hyype can directly ping those data sources and get that information independently of Hyype.
And this is just like making me super excited. I had seen Hyype before. I hadn't dug in too much, and you know, we want to run a little experiment with it here in the next week or so. But it definitely opens my mind to a lot of different opportunities. And so Would just love to see this get used more and more. Great job. Very inspiring.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and often when it comes to POAPs especially, they are the bookmarks of your life. They are the memories that you meant. And so a lot of people they claim their POAP or they mint their POAP and they will go back and they'll look at their POAP gallery and they're kind of like memory joggers for the events that happen. Well, Hyype is the place that you can go to actually take those memories and make it written word, or you can post pictures of the event that happened if you have pictures of it, or you can make a meme about the event if you can think of something to meme about it. And there's just so much things that you can do and so much utility there that it really is great to see. And I really appreciate you coming up and talking to us about it. So something that I want to shift to is our POAP spotlight. So every time that we have a guest, I asked them if they could share 3 posts with us that are either, meaningful to them, or 3 that they like, or, whatever the criteria that they want it to be. And of course, you are no different. So I want to shift into that. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to post them one by one into the community calls channel here in this Discord. Whenever I post it, I just want you to add the lore behind it for me, please. But all right. So I'm going to start off with the first one right now.
Yeah, well, I'll just speak to it, I guess. This particular POAP was essentially the launch of the Async Blueprints product, which was just them introducing a new drop mechanic for artists to have a different source of revenue, and it was really really interesting to see and collect early on from Async from the day that feature was launched. So that was something which was really exciting for me as a builder, and yeah, that's part of the reason why it was important to me.
All right, and then the next one on the list.
Oh yeah, Nifty Chat. I think quite a few people probably on the call also have this. Nifty Chat is an interesting alternative to Discord. So what they have been building is a really interesting native client where you can have exact same feature parity like Discord, and you can just connect with your wallet, and it has all the token gating out of the box built into the platform itself. The messaging is something which they are exploring with XMTP protocol, so the messages are also stored in a decentralized way and are kind of more resilient to censorship and have encryption built on them. So it was fun to be part of their early supporters. Like I think when I signed in on that, you could count how many GMs people sent on a given day. So it was really really small back then. I think there are quite a few people on it now. I haven't checked in on lately, but yeah, that was the load behind it.
All right, and then of course, last but not least.
Yes, that was the most recent one. So I think this one stands out to me mostly because I have been someone who does not like a lot of monkey JPEGs. So I don't actively trade on the PFP collectible market, but I often go and buy art on Superrare as well as Foundation, and those places barely see any secondary volume. So it was really interesting to have that as a signal that when NFT markets are historically at their lowest level in terms of trading since 2022, since 2020, actually, I was able to contribute in terms of buying and supporting independent artists through platforms like Superrare than go and buy a 10K PFP.
All right, I want to thank you so much for sharing those 3 posts with us, and also just sharing a little bit about yourself, how you got into Web3, and why you decided you wanted to begin building the Hyype platform. It was a pleasure to have you on, Supriyo, but we are coming to the end of our time with everyone today. So before we go, I do want to do a little bit of an announcement. There's going to be more information on this tomorrow on the POAP Discourse, and I'm sure there's going to be one in the announcements channel here on the official POAP Discord. But there is going to be a meme competition that is going to be happening over on the Hyype platform. So I went ahead, I did post a few examples on there, but I think since we are a bit out of time, I'm just going to sort of leave it there. There are going to be, as I said, more details coming on that tomorrow. So be sure to keep your eyes open in this POAP Discord. And I'm looking really forward to people participating in that. And I'm sure that, Supriyo, you're looking forward to people making posts on the Hyype platform as well.
Absolutely. Love good memes. Market needs it right now.
Definitely, for sure. But all right, so we are coming to a close. Before I get into POAP distribution, is there anything that anyone wants to say as we close out?
Yeah, didn't Fizz want to bring someone up?
Well, hey, look, he's here. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about next week's ghost. Next week's ghost. Please don't be a ghost, Justin. Justin
Try not
LaRue from Grid Plus. Grid Plus
Plus,
is
what's
doing
that?
a what?
What's that? Grid Plus?
I'm working on
Is that a wallet thing? Oh wow, Justin on the stage. What up? Let's go.
Hey.
Now.
I was trying to lurk, and then Superphiz, I made the mistake of making the comment in the community calls text channel, and I get yoinked up here. But
yeah, we're
please
all
continue.
family. You can't ignore family. But yeah, Justin runs a thing called Grid Plus, and they have a hardware wallet product called Lattice One, and the Lattice One is a superior hardware wallet, and so the reason this applies to POAP is they actually did this really cool deployment of a POAP that requires hardware-based authentication to get it. So we're not going to talk about it yet, but Justin, do you want to give us a teaser?
Yeah, I can give the very quick overview. Yeah, we make a hardware wallet specifically designed to address the needs of Web3 users, and there's a lot that's very different about it, but I will show you another day. But one of the cool things that is built into this device, we use something called a puff chip, and I can go through this super fast. It's physically unclonable function. Each one has a signature that's unique like a snowflake. So we can use this for Sybil resistance to claim a POAP where we know it's going to only go one can only be claimed ever by one of the users of each device. So we had Logic Beach Study, who works with us, put together a POAP for this, and you can claim it through a little Easter egg within the Lattice interface itself. And we just think it's a cool thing. We're still working on lots of ideas to implement it, but POAPs open up so many doors to do cool things for your community, and it's already growing in an interesting way. We have some benefits lined up that we'll be announcing in the coming week, and then partners who would want to do special promotions just to our community so that they know that these better discounts or special opportunities are not being just farmed by anybody. So we're really excited about it, and we think it's a pretty cool way to leverage POAP, which I am a huge fan of. I'm not just saying that because I'm here. Love the.
Yeah, well, like I said, Justin is practically family, and owning a Lattice One as a Sybil resistance mechanism is that's like top tier. But I can't wait to hang out with you next week. We'll have to make sure Logic Beach shows up with us as well, and we will have an awesome chat.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for yanking me out of the audience. Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
And I just want to say that I am physically right now verifying my hardware via my Grid Plus device. And that only took me I literally opened a new tab and I read the Grid Plus blog post, and I am now claiming the POAP, and this was all done in 30 seconds, and I am not a very smart guy. So wonderful UX. I know, I'm so glad I have a real Grid Plus and I'm not getting scammed, and now I have a POAP, and man, this is cool, and this was fast, and that was smooth.
All right. Definitely excited to talk about that next week with you, Justin, but we are out of time today. So I do want to go ahead and get our POAP distributed. So we are doing our usual method, which is over on the guild.xyz platform. So if you have not already, you're going to want to go over to the Join Guild chat, or channel, I should say, here in the official POAP Discord, and you're going to want to click on the link to join the guild. And then once you have done that, I'm going to go ahead and send the embed where you are going to be able to claim your POAP. So you are going to click on the Claim POAP button, and per usual, you can either send in about $1 worth of ETH on mainnet, or if you don't want to pay for the mainnet gas, you can go over on the Polygon network, and you can send in about $1 worth of Matic, or 1 USDC, or 1 DAI. But that is going to be all from us tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming here. Thank you so much to Supriyo for coming on and being our guest and talking to us about yourself and about Hyype. But we will see everybody next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everyone. Take care and have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
Guys.
Thank you.
Good night.